The Santa Cruz Mountains had just undergone kind of a massive liquidation. It was pretty well clear-cut, you know, up to the 30s for a variety of reasons, but it was the closest, you know, kind of Macan forest to big population centers at that time. Like it's a complicated interplay that redwoods have with all the different species that coexist in their ecosystem. And I don't, you know, think in the absence of redwood that web would work in quite the same way. Redwood forest is unique in that way. It requires redwood trees because they do so many cool things. My name's Nadia Hamey, and I'm a registered professional forester, and I've worked in the Santa Cruz Mountains for about 15 years. I sought Big Creek Lumber out there. They were the first Forest Stewardship Council certified, you know, redwood logging operation in the state, and really progressive, and I learned that they gave their foresters a lot of latitude to do the right thing.
I remember my dad telling me, you know, he said that when they kind of got started in business, other people were sort of laughing at them because they were going, what are you guys doing? You know, the Santa Cruz Mountains, it's all cut out. There's no timber left.
Big Creek started doing selective harvesting just on their own because, you know, it was a good way to manage the forest that came up in the aftermath of the clear cut, which was a very dense forest of young trees. It didn't make sense to take all the young trees. It made sense to take, you know, some small proportion of them and let the others get bigger.
What they found was a lot of the little trees that had been left behind that were essentially old growth because they were maybe this big and, you know, 150 years old because they had been growing so slowly under the canopy. Those trees, when they had sunlight and water and room to grow, just grew fast. And so when they came along, those trees were now the bigger trees. Since the time I was 8 or 9, it was really clear to me that we were doing something different.
Oh, yeah.
And that what we were doing, we were trying to do the right thing. We were trying to do a good job. And so by the late 60s, I mean, it had really coalesced into a specific, like,
way of doing things.
A third of the trees over 24 inches would be removed every 15 to 20 years on a property in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And that would be a sustainable rate, meaning it would be harvesting less than is grown in that time period, typically about 80% of what's grown. So over time, you would actually be adding more growth, and so growing gradually bigger trees. You know, in 100 years, you can have a complete turnover and replenishment of wood in a redwood forest if you manage it well.